Good morning. Welcome to this video presenting the latest update of Archelios Pro in Q3 2025, containing lots of new functionalities that I have the pleasure of presenting to you today in order to better understand what they are, how they function, and how they can benefit you. To get started, we're going to create a new 3D project so that I can show you first off the new Météonorm 9 climate data. So the Météonorm 9 climate data benefits from new or more recent irradiation data. We will see that in just an instant once we select a location. Today we'll be using an example which is an industrial unit with two sloping sides on the roof. Once the unit has been located, we can clearly see that we're now using Météonorm 9 data from the closest and most recent weather station data. So this is coming from 2025. We have irradiation data from the period 2001 to 2020. It's been updated just now in 2025, and the new version 9 uses a new calculation model as well. So we benefit from far more accurate data. If we go further down the page, we can see all of the horizontal shading profile, so the irradiation without shading, with shading, the optimal irradiation, of course, all broken down into a global direct diffuser. We get all of the information we need from this weather station data. Moving on to the site model, we can change the map, add a zone, we'll have a tilted roof here, and we can start drawing the building. So as I mentioned, this is a sloped roof on two sides, and it lends itself particularly well to an east-west configuration. So here we will accurately model the site, which has a roof of 8 meters, a slope of 12 degrees. We've automatically recovered the altitude of the site, and I'm going to put a fairly significant exclusion width here, which will suit my site a bit better. Same again, another tilted roof this side, this time on the other side. And if I start on the top of the roof side, it will allow me to get the same dimensions as before. So then I will just transfer the lower edge over to there and insert those same figures. So 8 meters, 12 degrees, and the same again. If I just tap that button there, it will align the top of the roof as well with the other side, which we can clearly see in the 3D version here. We can then go on to add the exclusion zones. So if I add a few of these, we can then duplicate them as well. Of course, that was in our May release from this year. So I can duplicate each one of those, speed things up. Of course, I will go a bit quicker than you, so that you get the idea. You can model all of these accurately, and then same on the other side. Let's go and draw that one there, add an exclusion. I'll just cover all of that in one go. And then that's in the plane and with a height of 20 centimeters. There we go. Let's double check in the model. That's okay for me. And so the next feature we have in this latest release is the addition of an API that calls Enstall's calculator. So Enstall, of course, is an internationally recognized mounting system provider. And what I'm going to do here is just select a suitable PV module. Once we've added the PV module, we can change the orientation to landscape, go into the layout parameters because this is a significant rooftop, and just change the maximum number of modules. Just duplicate and close that. So we've filled the roof, and then we can add a mounting system. So this is where we're going to call Enstall's services and define all of the site properties as we would in the Enstall calculator, except this time we do it within archelios, meaning that we avoid the risk of typing errors, copy and paste errors. We save significant time, and we're going to be able to benefit from all of the same services as before, except now they're integrated into archelios. So obviously we fill in all of these different fields, select the product. We'll have mounting profiles on Revit mounts. The clamp type is universal and no clips. And once that's all filled in, we can recover the mounting system. So the certain layout parameters will be disabled once we have this in place to make sure that we don't change anything and then modify its compatibility or not. And then when we have that, it calls Enstall, checks the mounting system, applies it, and that is now applied to our rooftop. So in the model, one of the ways we can see this is with the different thermal gaps that has just been applied. What I can do now is the same thing on the other side, add a PV array, select the same module as before, we'll select that, go back to landscape, layout parameters to make sure that we have the right number of modules here, and then add the mounting system. So it's the same process again. It doesn't take very long once we know what we're doing. So steel, standalone, corrugated. There we go. That will make more sense. All of these are dynamic, so depending on what you choose, the next fields will change according to your choices. So we'll have a rivet mount universal with no clips, and that one should be more appropriate. So once it calls Enstall's API, we get the new mounting system, and our work is done. What this means is that when you're preparing your site, you already know from the desk study phase that your system is compatible with the materials that are available through the Enstall services, that you won't have any compatibility problems. And of course, as I mentioned, you're saving significant amounts of time. So once that's done, we can save the site. It will update that. We can clearly see that we have two groups here. And I'm happy with the way they're grouped. So if I add an inverter to one side, we're using SMA Sunny Centrals, so I can change any values here to filter the references if I need to. And then, of course, we get all of the suggestions for SMA inverters. So we have 3,158 modules to cover. And of course, I can change that for whatever I like. We have a significant list of options coming from our enormous material or equipment catalog. I'll go back up to the top. There we go, and put some SC200 inverters in. Once I validate the configuration, it will be automatically cabled here. Of course, this is something we can change later on if we need to. But to speed things up, in our previous release, we added automatic cabling, which uses an S format. And that will cover all of the modules without any problems. So here we have 3,016 modules to cover, and we can use this first suggestion without any problems. Validate, and of course it's automatically cabled again. So we don't need to do any cabling. We can come back and change that if we want to, but we don't need to. Before calculating the production, what I'm going to go do is going to the parameters page and add some probability indicators. So this is one of the big features in our latest release, is in the gold and platinum licenses, we've added the P75 indicator by default, which means that depending on your finances, you can provide them with extra probability indicators so that you can reassure them on the performance of your site and thus more easily win over their confidence. In the Platinum version, we also have personalized probability indicators, and we can add up to a total of 5 indicators here. So what we will do in this project, because I know that my personal financer likes having the P95 indicator, we will add that to this list. And of course, all of those will use the uncertainties that you can modify here. So if I click Save and Calculate, that will bring us to the production page, where we can calculate the entire project with the inverters that we've added just before. Obviously, everything is cabled, so it can now generate the production profile. And there we go. So this is where we see all of the production information for the site, first year results, average values, and of course, now that we've changed the parameters, we can see the P50, P75, P90, and the P95 specific yield evaluations. So that significantly increases the probability that my project will be financed, of course, providing I haven't made any significant errors or mistakes in my project. And then we can go on to add a self-consumption profile or not. So this project will be in a total sales format, but just for the purposes of showing you some new data we have here, we have Elmas profiles. So in the France profiles under Enedis, we've added 18 new profiles that have been worked on by the Mines schools in Paris, so a special project led by Enedis, where they measured 55,000 recordings, analyzed them, and from those recordings produced these 18 profiles. So this is what we can see here with the Enedis and, generic profiles. We have new profiles all down here. So again, provided by the Mines schools from Paris, mandated by Enedis. And we have these specific categories here. And what that means is that if I go onto a manufacturing process here, maybe with 60,000 kilowatt hours of consumption, it means that the profile is far more accurate here, both on the hourly profile, the monthly profile, and overall across the year. Now these are generic, of course, but with the number of profiles that they were recording, they are significantly more accurate. In any case, that's not the case for this particular project, where we will be doing a total sales project. We're going to have it in GBP. We're going to add some generic prices here to help us go really fast. And once we have them, and a sales price with no evolution, we can calculate the economic results. See them really quickly here. So of course, this is an example project. You will be able to input your own data, your own prices, and see the exact results here. Everything is taken into account. So of course, we have the discounted payback period as well as the payback period, taking into account your equity rate and the price of borrowing. So this is a total sales project, and one of the things we've changed here, if I just take everything into account one last time, calculate the entire project just to make sure that everything is in there, we can go ahead and export a single line diagram, which is one of the things that we changed in this latest release, because for total sales projects, you have the option of indicating the low voltage electrical table. So the single line diagram we can export to PDF, This will be an exterior installation, and it's the switchboard here that we can display or not. So of course, in total sales formats, we're not obliged to go through or connect to the switchboard. So once we export that, we can see it in a new tab. So this is the PDF that's exported, and of course we have the AC box followed by the main protection and the grid. So no longer do we see the switchboard here. There we go. Going on to a different project then, we had a couple of other significant improvements in this release. One of them is to our Revit plugin. So for just as a reminder, the Revit plugin you can download in Platinum licenses from the Revit page, where you led to the Revit software, as well as the archelios plugin. The archelios plugin itself is now compatible with the 2026 version of Revit. And if I show you a project here, you will also see that we've undergone some optimizations of our plugin so that you can work on significantly larger projects, reduce the working and the processing time around these projects. And how have we done that? We did that in two ways. So the first way is by filtering the families, so the objects in Revit, so that anything that's non-pertinent to a solar study is removed. A good example is the tables, chairs, all of the internal units inside a building, things like cars and exterior objects, they've all been removed. So I'll show you a project here. This is a large building, so an apartment block here, and if I move, we can see the inside. That's to speed up the graphics here. But we also see inside the building that there aren't any objects, and that for a solar study is significantly better because it means we can work quickly, efficiently, and what we're focusing on here in the solar study is all treated correctly. And we save a lot of time doing that. So there you go. That's our Revit plugin. Similar treatment in the SketchUp plugin. So we don't need optimizations this time, but we have updated it to take into account the latest 2026 version. So, and here, of course, is where you can download the SketchUp plugin. There we go. So that's the content for our latest release. It's been a pleasure showing you our latest functionalities and how they can benefit you. I hope you enjoy using them, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.